Well, tonight, a further escalation of cross-strait tensions as a senior U.S. diplomat meets with top Chinese leaders on the island. That's provoked China, which has slammed what it calls collusion between Washington and Taipei. Taiwan says it had to scramble fighter jets and deploy air defense missiles after 18 Chinese aircraft buzzed the island. And this comes as China holds military combat drills in the area. Taiwan has urged Beijing to exercise restraint, but China says its actions are necessary to safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Olivia Xiong reports.
In a fresh warning to Taiwan and the U.S., Beijing announced on Friday it had started actual combat exercises near the Taiwan Strait. The timing was no coincidence as U.S. Undersecretary for Economic Affairs Keith Krach began a series of meetings in Taipei. Beijing views the self-ruled island of Taiwan as a renegade province and has said it would use force if necessary to bring the island under its control. It has grown increasingly suspicious of Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen and her pro-independence Democratic Progressive Party and sees warming ties between Taiwan and the U.S. as emboldening pro-independence forces. At a news conference on Friday, China's Defense Ministry repeated the warning that Taiwan is a purely internal Chinese affair.
近期，美国和民进党当局加紧勾连，频繁制造事端，无论是以台制华，还是挟洋自重，这都是痴心妄想。 注定是死路一条，玩活着必自焚。中国人民解放军有坚定的意志、充分的信心、足够的能力，挫败一切外部势力干涉和台独分裂行径，坚决地捍卫国家主权和领土完整。
Beijing has stepped up military exercises in recent times as cross-strait ties have deteriorated. In a post on Chinese social media platform Weibo, editor-in-chief of the state-linked Global Times, Hu Xijin, said the latest drill was rare, as Taiwan media reported that Chinese aircraft crossed the sensitive midline of the Taiwan Strait. He added that it also signaled that the Chinese military was able to mobilize quickly, and the exercises were in preparation for an attack on Taiwan if there is a need. And if the U.S. were to send higher-level officials like the Secretary of State or Defense Secretary, the Chinese Army should conduct its exercises in the skies directly above Taiwan. Now, China had previously warned it would make a necessary response to Mr. Krach's trip. All this as tensions between Beijing and Washington continue to escalate in the lead-up to the U.S. presidential election in November, where China has become a major campaigning issue. Olivia Xiong, CNA, Beijing.
And a correction there, a senior U.S. diplomat will meet with top Taiwanese leaders on the island. And we know U.S. Undersecretary of State Keith Krach has kept an unusually low profile during his visit. Mr. Krach is scheduled to join President Tsai Ing-wen for dinner at her official residence tonight. But so far, he has not made any official announcement or public appearances. Victoria Jin reports.
Taiwan's defense ministry said it dispatched fighter jets Friday to chase away multiple Chinese aircraft entering the island's airspace. The military intrusion has come when Mr. Krach is making a 3-day visit to the island. So China had threatened to make a so-called necessary response to Mr. Krach's trip. But the reality is that Chinese warplanes flying over Taiwan's airspace have become the new normal in recent months, and that has prompted the U.S. to increase arms sales to the island to counterbalance the Chinese forces in the region. So it's clear that Taiwan has become more entangled in the escalating tension between the U.S. and China. But what's interesting to note is that Mr. Krach's trip to Taiwan has been kept at an unusually low profile. The widely anticipated economic dialogue had not only been cancelled, Mr. Krach's meetings with Taiwanese officials suddenly became closed-door discussions. Even his meeting and dinner with President Tsai Ing-wen were kept out of the media limelight. Now, it posed the question whether Washington was trying to maintain its one China principle while using Taiwan to counterbalance the Chinese power in the region. But critics warn that Taiwan should try to maintain a balance in dealing with the two superpowers, or it could become a pawn for the U.S. and jeopardize the peace and stability across the strait. Victoria Jen, CNA, Taipei.